So good, so good, so good.
Everything you want for summer is at Nordstrom Rack stores now, and up to 60% off. Stock up and save on the brands you love like Vince, Sam Edelman, Frame, and Free People. Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
You said this place was steps from the water.
We just haven't found the steps yet.
How much did we save?
Enough.
Enough to get lost?
Or you could book a stay with Hilton.
Welcome to your oceanfront room, just steps from the water.
The Hilton sale is on now. Book on Hilton.com or the Hilton app and save up to 20% to get the stay you expected. When you want savings, not surprises, it matters where you stay. Hilton, for the stay.
Are you on Substack? Because I am, and I'd love to connect with you there. I process things there over Saturdays and Sundays, days off, sometimes weeknights as I'm researching and reading other articles, and it inspires me to write things where I'm going deeper into the behind the scenes of what some of the episodes on A World of Difference are all about. I'd love to connect with you there. So if you are on Substack, find me. You can go to loriadamsbrown.substack.com as a free, or I would prefer a paid subscriber, because then you get access to more of the in-depth things that are exclusively for my paid subscribers. I keep my prices as low as they can be on Substack, as low as they allow. But I do believe in being paid for my work, and I believe you should be paid for yours too. So join me there and let's make a difference together.
Welcome to the A World of Difference podcast. I'm Lori Adams Brown, and this is a podcast for those who are different and want to make a difference. Hello, everyone. I'm here at Move Abroad Con in San Diego at the beautiful Hard Rock San Diego, and I am here with an event specialist extraordinaire who has a whole wild story, which is a whole other thing about how she got involved in this incredible event. But I want to give her a chance to introduce herself, and then I'm going to ask a couple questions about her experience here at this event. So tell us what you do and what your name is and where you're from.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Morgan. I am the events coordinator for the weekend. I am from Los Angeles, California, born and raised, California girl through and through. So yeah, I'm happy to be here this weekend.
And because I'm also now currently a California woman myself, even though I've lived abroad, shout out to the Gatos and everybody listening from there.
Northern California represent.
That's right. There's a little bit of a rivalry, if you don't know, between our two parts of the state. But anyway, we are both living in places that are very global in the places we live. But there's kind of a bit of a difference when it comes to moving abroad. So I want to know, first of all, what has this event meant to you, especially as somebody who's been so involved in the event itself?
Yes. What the event has meant to me is basically seeing how people can come from so many different angles of wanting to find themselves in a fresh start. So there are people who are in their earlier decades who are looking to create a life elsewhere. And there are people who have lived for a couple of decades who have experienced a way of life, and they are ready to kind of hit those golden years in a different light. So yeah, it's been really fascinating.
Well, I've enjoyed just the mix of people. Every session has been different countries, and it's all been so fun. You know, move abroad to Mexico, Costa Rica, Portugal, Spain, New Zealand, Australia. There's been so many different ones.
Yeah.
And people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, reason for moving abroad, age. Some people want to study abroad. I just went to that session.
Yes.
Taxes. It's been such a wealth of information for a learn it all like me. And I feel like also these are my people, which has been a lot of fun.
100%. What she said is meant to say.
No, that's what you said too. Yes. And at A World of Difference, we're all about our different perspectives. So there's no accident. Exactly. Like we have our different fingerprints. We're very different. We love that. But my next question for you, is there anything that you've learned during these past 2 days that has been new information or surprising, or anything you want to share about moving abroad that's interesting for you?
So the one thing that I've learned, and it wasn't necessarily my own lesson, but it was something that I saw repeatedly as I was helping guests, is that so many people we're seeing doors open that they never thought possible, or seeing doors open that they thought had once been permanently closed here in the US. So, specifically with the study abroad Scola, in booking a lot of the interviews and stuff with her, the one on ones that we've offered, she got so popular this weekend because there were so many people that they thought that their days of education had come to an end. And to know that the possibility of continuing education in so many different areas is a possibility in Europe, that, you don't have to go just to work. You can go and continue learning and continuing your education in life. And I thought that that was a really cool thing.
Well, I thought it was really cool because I also was like, oh, is that something I should consider now? Because I'm a learn it all. That's why I love this podcast.
Yeah.
We met in that session.
Yes.
Actually talking to the speaker who's incredible.
She is.
And she's going to be on the podcast because I invited her to do an interview. But yes, that was also one of my surprising things is the ability to live abroad and study abroad and do both at the same time.
Yes.
Just felt a little more accessible. And somebody like her who can really kind of handhold you through it was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Of course. Yeah, that's one thing this weekend is really meeting the people who are involved in this event are people who have walked the walk, talked the talk. They are people who have officially moved to other countries, that they have done and are practicing what they're preaching. And so not only do they have the information, but they have the life experience. So it's fantastic.
It's pretty fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing your perspective with us. Thank you for doing everything you did to make this incredible event happen.
It was
so
teamwork.
Fun.
It was teamwork.
You can tell that it's like the good kind of teamwork where you brought out the best in people. So it's lovely to meet you. You were being on the podcast and you see each other's paths again.
I look forward
abroad.
to it.
We're here in California.
Bye.
Well, I have another guest here at Move Abroad Con in San Diego at the Hard Rock. And I've learned so much. I went to her session earlier about moving to Mexico, which who doesn't love Mexico? It's a place you can live and not just vacation. And she's done it and she helps people do it. So give us a little intro about who you are.
Okay, I'm Shasta Townsend. Mucho gusto. Nice to meet you, everybody. I moved to Puerto Vallarta almost 5 years ago, and I'm not leaving. It really is a great lifestyle if you're thinking about a country or a place to move to. Mexico is a really great first stop as an expat, but also certainly long term. And Puerto Vallarta, there's something for everybody. I think it's a great place to land.
Well, I'm a beach person and I love the beaches of Mexico. And I know that we're here at the expo where she's got her booth at the Puerto Vallarta booth. And you shared so much of this earlier about moving to Mexico, but I'm really interested to know, as you've listened to speakers and you've met with people and we're here at the end of the day 2, what has this conference meant to you personally?
I get really emotional because I'm very passionate about living in another country. I'm very passionate about Mexico. So I've had an opportunity to meet with, I think, for sure, dozens, maybe hundreds of people, right?
Yeah.
Really speaking and really sharing the beauty and power of Mexico and giving people, I think, hope and also a next step. So for me, that's very empowering. And I think it's my life purpose to help people move to Mexico.
That's so fun. I was in San Miguel de Allende, which I know you mentioned earlier in your session. I was there in November and we were in different homes of different expat women who lived there. There was so much going on with real estate and you mentioned some of that too. And I think every part of Mexico, whether it's Cancun or Puerto Vallarta or Mexico City or San Miguel or wherever people are, there's so much nuance about Mexico. And so I love that you are kind of bringing that into the conversation. And also love Claudia Sheinbaum. I love that you spoke about her because she's, oh, wow. So, I mean, nobody is perfect. I'm not perfect. Especially when you're a political figure and a woman, you get to that level, there's going to be some scrutiny. But I love that she is raising the economy, trying to also, like you said, be a kind leader. But when it comes to moving abroad, some people, even with a kind leader of another nation or things that are going on in the US, which is a large reason people are moving abroad from the US right now. Sometimes there's these myths about moving abroad that aren't true or kind of general common knowledge that people don't have if they haven't lived abroad. For our audience listening, would you say there's any kind of information that would be helpful for people to know that maybe isn't commonly known or is a myth you want to dispel about living abroad or moving abroad?
Sure. I do think trying to do it all on your own is impossibly Like
Yeah,
it's possible, but having resources like Expatsy, spend a little bit of money to like literally not make all your hair go gray like mine did. There's what often happens, especially in a country like Mexico, there's so much unknown that you won't know until you actually meet somebody that's living there and is an expert. And you can do as much Google searches and go on websites, but having an expert in your corner who actually says, this is what you need to know, and this is what you don't need to worry about. I mean, that's bandwidth stuff that's priceless. I think the other thing about moving to another country, I think especially right now when many people are thinking of moving because they don't like what's happening in their home country is, for me, I really had to think about moving abroad as like, I always wanted to do it, but I moved faster because of things that were going on. Is I had to really embrace the idea of like, this is a great adventure. I am happy to be doing this, even with the challenges. So if you're approaching it from a place of like stress and overwhelm, which of course you're going to have those emotions, if you can even add in an aspect of adventure, the opportunities, people you're going to meet, friendships and your own personal growth, like this is actually a great opportunity.
So well said. I feel like any of us who lived abroad have had various aspects of that experience. So thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for the work that you do. It's great to meet you. And if you're moving to Mexico or considering it, we will link her stuff in the show notes so you can find her. Thanks for Bye. We are still here at Move AbroadCon in San Diego at Hard Rock Hotel, and we're at the end of day 2. And I have had an interesting conversation with my new friend here from New Zealand. And it turns out we both lived in Singapore at the same time. You were in Holland Village, which I went to all the time. I'm sure we probably ate at the same restaurant at the same time. Don't even know it. But anyway, we met here officially. And I'd love for you to introduce yourself a little bit and tell us about the work that you do.
Yeah, so my name's Mischa Mannix-Opie. I'm the Director of Client Experience at Greener Pastures New Zealand. So what we do is we're a full service firm that helps global citizens get permanent residency in New Zealand or investment. We also help with their lifestyle and settling into New Zealand and their immigration experiences.
Thank you for what you do. I know many people love New Zealand, whether you've traveled there or quintessentially watched Lord of the Rings or Flight of the Conchords, who makes fun of people who watch Lord of the Rings and want to live, which is so funny. Or you've been a fan of Jacinda Ardern, like I have been, or you've worked abroad and had Kiwis on your team, or whatever your reason is. So many people want to live there. And I would love to know, as you've been here at this conference, talking to people, going to sessions, speaking, what has this conference meant to you personally?
I think I really focus on the active Vista Plus visa, but I think what this conference has shown me is that there's a whole range of reasons why people want to come and live in New Zealand and different pathways that they're exploring. So I've kind of had my eyes open to people thinking about being digital nomads or thinking about coming down on a working holiday, studying, and all the different other pathways that they can look to if it's not this particular visa. So the demand for New Zealand is definitely high.
It is very high. I went to the Moving to New Zealand session earlier today, and it's a country that's so highly rated in work-life balance. I think it was number 1, and it was like number 2 and 3 in these other great categories in terms of lifestyle that we want to have. And I think this conference has been full of people who are looking for a more meaningful life, a happier life, a more fulfilling life for all kinds of reasons. New Zealand definitely hits all of those things. When it comes to moving to New Zealand or doing the expat life, which you've also lived, or moving abroad or any of those things, are there any myths that people have, or is there any information that you think is not common knowledge or something you just think people should know based on what you've heard in the last couple of days or what you knew prior to coming to here?
I think the big one is that people think that though we're a little country at the bottom of the world, they often think about us in the bottom right corner of a map, but think of us in the middle of the bottom of the world with ease of access to go east and explore Asia if you're from the west, or vice versa. It's not that hard to get to New Zealand. A 12-hour flight is actually not that bad from the west coast of the US. And then you have the opportunity to be in New Zealand, head out amazing landscapes and lifestyle, but also explore the rest of the world as well.
Great. And you can go skiing, you can go swimming, you can do all the things. And you're about to take that long flight from here in Los Angeles. Well, safe travels. It's been great to see you and officially meet you. And I hope we run into each other again. And if you're considering New Zealand, reach out to her. We'll link her information in the show notes and she can answer your questions.
Okay, difference makers. I know you, and I know when you hear something you really enjoyed and you learned from it, you want to share it. I am like that too, which is why I love to promote guests on this podcast for you to get to hear them yourself. Sometimes they write books, sometimes they write on Substack, sometimes they podcast, sometimes their voice is just every day in the workplace where they live and impact their communities in a variety of ways with all the hats that they wear. So if you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that you did, please share it with a friend, a parent, a neighbor, somebody you went to boarding school with back in the day, somebody at work, your boss, people on your team, because this is a message they needed to hear. And it have impacted you. Please give us a 5-star rating and give us a review. It really helps our reach for more people like you to find us, the difference makers, the listeners, the leaders, the people in your communities that are making the world a better place. I appreciate you so much.